Hey guys. Here we go. Yeah. Hey guys, how's it going? This is Tracilyn, also known as VCAT. I'm indoors right now, getting ready to wrap up today's session of sharing my life story. I was working with relationships. I was up in the mountains above Lickdale. I'm now at a hotel room. I'm trying to organize my thoughts a little bit. You know, the two things that really meant a lot to me before I came out as a transsexual lady, and things I was struggling with before a musician specifically, was my dog, Riggs, and my son. I started sharing about the story right during the time when I came out to start getting involved in the entertainment industry. It's something I wanted to do my whole life. I don't want to talk a whole lot about that right now because that's really a separate thing that I really want to emphasize on some of the details of my journey throughout my childhood into adulthood, even up until this year. Many of you who know me know that I've always been passionate about music, and I grew up in a musical family. So I didn't know as much back then as I do now. But like I said, I want to take an actual time just alone, just to talk about that. There's so many things to share, so many things that I've learned through it all. And same with my dog. I want to stop and reflect back, because from what I remember with the video I just uploaded here to my computer is, I was talking about the separation of parents with my child's parent. I was with her absolutely for the wrong reasons. She's a wonderful person. Okay. It was unhealthy. It was an unhealthy relationship for us. Things did not work out at all. And with that being said, I want to clear my mind here a little bit. Just to give some understanding to him if he's listening, or if somebody who knows him. From what I remember, I tried everything I could at that time. Some things in life become so stressful. You're dealing with so much of a person's history to where they are now. I know that she had things probably that she was going through throughout her life journey up to that point. And may I just say that I still hurt. And I'm going to keep looking at myself in this monitor. I still hurt, obviously. And I try every day to heal. Just over that situation alone. Because of my history, because of my separation of parents, I know what it feels like. It's very painful when parents do not get along, or for whatever reason it's time to move on in their relationships. So what I wanted to touch base on was when I say that I'm not 100% sure that he is mine. Understand, while we were going through our financial dispute, and we were having a lot of disagreements as to whether or not I was a good parent because I was a musician. I wasn't her idea of who his other parent figure should be. There were several times that I fell down to my knees on my face while on the phone with her, because I wanted more than anything to work things out. And I started to realize at that point in my life that, just because we couldn't get along as whether it be boyfriend, girlfriend, however you want to look at it, I still wanted to be friends. I wanted that opportunity to have a relationship with him. Because of everything that I was encountering, talking to my friends, dealing with my lawyer, dealing with just the overall situation between the two of us, I've realized that the really sometimes the healthiest thing to do is to kind of let things go and take care of the financial ends and just let time kind of heal things. And my hope is that eventually I'll get the opportunity to enjoy life together somehow, some way, whether it's talking on the phone or talking through the internet, on Skype or what have you. I'd like to know. And as far as to not knowing whether or not he's mine, can I just say that in my mind I'm thinking to myself, if I'm really his parent, then why am I arguing about about being in his life? Why do we have to have such a big deal? Just because the two of us can't get along, why can't I still be in his life if he's mine? If I had a child and whoever his other parent would be, as long as that other parent wasn't abusing my child, as long as that other parent wasn't mentally or physically abusing my child, I would let that child decide, just like my mother left me decide who my father was and what I thought of my father, okay? Who I still love, despite everything that we've been through. We had some disputes as far as we were going through domestics, is what it's called around here in Pennsylvania. So it's a place where you go when adults can't get along with each other. They try to organize things. They have a formula as to how they figure everything out. Sometimes lawyers got to be involved, or you got to go to court. And you try to reach an agreement that's fair for the child. I felt satisfied in the end with the end result as far as the financial ends of it, because I wanted to make sure, and I always told her, if there's anything that he needs, please give me a call. Let me know. I want to be there. I really do. I still do. I made the mistake. One time when we went in there to make a final signing agreement, there's a process through this. And I'd have to go back and reflect back on this moment. I don't want to stretch this out any longer than I have already. But can I just say that I remember sitting in the office with his other parent and the counselor. And I had the opportunity that I could have signed a paper asking that blood test, that we could be tested, blood-wise, to see whether or not his DNA was with mine. A match. And for whatever reason, at that time, I didn't know all the things that I know now. And I'm thinking, why would she fib about something like that? Why would she be dishonest about something like that? And can I say, I really do believe, there's a part of me that believes that he's mine, and there's a part of me that's kind of questioning, only because the way things kind of happened. Didn't seem like she wanted me in his life at all. Okay, wanted the money, but not me in a relationship to have with him. And I could be wrong about all this, but this is my perception, the life journey, because I've reached out and I let her know that I wanted to be in his life. So I signed a waiver, and I told the lady, I said, I want to take the financial responsibilities, and I'm gonna stand up and say I believe that he's mine. But I've learned in life that, I want to say this as nice as I can, it was a foolish move on my part. I should have never done that. I should have asked and requested for, instead of waiving the possibilities to get a DNA test, I should have actually asked for that and requested it before anything went any further. Because at that point, once I signed that waiver, there's no going back unless the parents decide together, let's go do this so we can all have peace of mind. So just know, if you hear this, that's the only reason that I'm questioning. It's just because the way things happened. It's not that I'm here to deny it. I'm not here to deny it. Obviously, I have been very faithful in taking care of the financial ends of what we agreed upon. There were times that we had phone conversations because I lived out of state, and I let them know that I care, and I'm hoping someday that we can have a relationship together, whatever that looks like, whatever that turns out to be. but I hope there's an opportunity for me to share happy moments together. So if I wouldn't have signed that waiver, I would have had blood tests done, and I would have peace of mind, either knowing that it was true or not true. And if you are watching this right now, I know that's not an easy thing to hear. Okay? So just know I'm not denying anything. It's just that I question. I'm questioning. I hope everything is okay. Hopefully I'm given a chance to get those DNA tests done at some point, and hopefully from that point on there can be a healing for everyone. We can move on. I want a relationship with you. I want a relationship with my son. And I wish that we could come into an agreement with this other parent and we could learn to get along with each other somehow. Somehow. For his sake. Not for ours, but for his sake. I was talking a lot about my dog. But before I go talking about my dog, I want to let you know that just before I came out as a transsexual lady, let me tell you something. This has not been an easy process for me, because there wasn't a whole lot of education dominantly out into society. So I found out about it because of the internet. Before I go into talking about that, that's a whole nother day. This is a story everybody needs to hear. Whoever's been following my life journey or the music, you really should hear this story. It will help the other people in our community, just people in general, once you find out how I came across this information and then what transpired in the several years leading up to now. So that started in 2006. Just before 2006, shortly after the time of the separation of the other parent, my child's parent, I was entering into the music industry for a while, as a local entertainer. I was starting to make a name for myself. And I'm going to talk a little bit about that for a while, but my name was starting to get out there. It was even in a television commercial, radio interviews, and all this other stuff. So the buzz was going around to everybody who knew me. And let me tell you something, just for that alone, I was getting beat up from a group of individuals, whether it was family or friend members, because there was a lack of understanding as to what happens between me and this parent. And let me tell you, there's a lot of times that unless you actually lived the situation, there's a lot of lack of understanding. And it's her perspective versus my perspective versus the overall situation. It's very complicated sometimes. I want to take more time to talk about that, but I'd specifically rather do that off camera and do that with the people that matter the most, which is the three of us. So peacefully and lovingly. And just to clear up, I hope that you guys are doing great. Her as well. I do care. Believe it or not, I do care. Well, during that time, of course, I've never felt so much stress. To give you an idea of the kind of stress that I was going through, I was suffering severely from acid reflux. My diet was going down. I was smoking a lot, drinking a lot of alcohol. Escape. Okay, I was trying to escape everything. I didn't know how to deal with it. I really didn't know how to deal with it. And reflecting back on my whole childhood, struggling with my sexuality, all these things at play. I've been in and out of relationships with cars and everything and friends and trying to make sense. Why is it that I don't feel like I'm fitting in? And while playing my one cousin's wedding and hanging out with him and his family, I had the opportunity to meet an outstanding lady. She was very strong into the Christian faith. She ended up coming and sharing some time with me. We got to talk a lot. Because of her and her love for the God that she believed in, let's just say that I started off on a spiritual journey that really took me for a whirlwind of a ride. Okay? It was used to help me as well. In the end, I found out a lot of things that I was believing just were crazy. Crazy, and it was a big heartbreak in the end to find out what I know now, which is what I'm building up to hopefully share with you. And I know this all sounds confusing right now. I'm not used to talking indoors. I feel a little fatigued, tired. Got a lot of things on my mind right now. I want to kind of make amends of the last 40 years and move on. I'm going to be 41 this year. We had a lot of things in common, and the second I saw her, it was the same reaction as the first girl that I ever dated in my whole life. She was absolutely beautiful. She reminded me a lot of my brother's one girlfriend. I don't know if you remember me talking about it in other videos. It was somebody that inspired me. Everybody loved this girl. She was so beautiful, my brother's girlfriend. And I started wearing some of her clothing, and I could actually have very deep conversations with her. She didn't know about this, so I'm kind of embarrassed to share that in a way, but you know, it's my life story. It's what I did because I was desperation, fear of going into the store and getting my own clothing. I didn't know how to go about all of this. You know, I'm learning as I go through life the right ways and things, maybe other choices I could have made that were better for everybody. And in summary, can I just say that in this relationship, it was very physical, and I don't mean between the two of us, but now I had my curiosity about God and Jesus and Christian faith, but she was very different than any Christian I ever met. The way she dressed, her whole personality, acceptance, her love of life, it was just so different than most people I've met in the Christian faith. She wasn't judgmental. She was very loving and accepting of everybody, always kind to everybody. Very well liked amongst my friends and everything. So we started sharing a lot of time together. And can I just say that one thing I learned in that relationship is I needed more than anything in my life was a friend. You ever feel like that? You ever feel like you don't necessarily need a boyfriend or a girlfriend? You don't need things. You don't need a career. What you really need is somebody that you can connect with mentally, that you can open up to about everything. This was the person for me. And what was great is she had kind of like a childlike mentality. And I don't mean that she wasn't smart. There's a difference there. She was extremely smart. But she had kind of that playful child mentality that took me back to my childhood years, where it was okay to pretend. It was okay to go rollerblading, go roller skating, or ride bike. Spend a lot of time outdoors, wrestling on the floor, you know, with each other. So it kind of took me back to my childhood, because by this time I was taking my career extremely serious. And with everything that I was going through, let me just say, it beat me up, everything. And I added to it. I'm trying to figure out life and everything. And I mean, I remember I told you I put my pretending away. I put all my childhood things away, and I started trying to take life a little more seriously. Well, this is during that time. And let me tell you something. For anybody out there who knows in the music industry, you know, or any business whatsoever, when you're self-employed, how about that? It soaks up a lot of time and energy. And when you're running a business, I could not balance what I needed the most, which was to go back into my youth and have that playtime, that childlike mentality. I kind of put that way behind. And I got very serious about everything. I know I'm repeating myself. This is hard for me. Okay? But I'm going to keep it rolling. And I want to talk more about that at another time when I can have a fresh mind. It's been a long day for me talking about all of this with you. My voice is hoarse. I don't want to talk too loud because, you know, people could hear me, I guess, walking in the hallway or whatever. So I just want to say that, you know, this was the same situation. I enjoyed our time together as far as intimacy. but it was uncomfortable for me. Okay? We were best friends. We shared so much time together, but by this time I realized that there had to be some time. I needed time alone, and still I realize that now. I need a lot of time alone. I don't do too good with living relationships for whatever reason. When I get buried into my work or my art, I prefer to be secluded from everyone, to be focused on that. When I'm practicing guitar, writing a song, or if I'm writing poems or whatever, I withdraw, and that's my thing. I like to be alone up in the mountains or wherever I go. So by this time I realized that I don't want to be with somebody all the time. So it wasn't fair necessarily to her, because I think at that point in our relationship, she's kind of ready to kind of settle down and, you know, have a life together. We talked about children and stuff like that. And I'll tell you what, I was scared. I was scared of that because I really started knowing that I'm struggling with my sexuality. I started realizing I don't ever want to end up in a situation where I'm with somebody, we have a child, and now we got to separate again. That was the most, let me tell you something, coming out as a transsexual was extremely challenging. Separation of parents and having a family separate, knowing that I want to be with my child and work things out. And let me tell you something, that was one of the most stressful things that I've ever had to endure in my whole life. And it still affects me. It will affect me for the rest of my life. You know, I'm trying to deal with it to the best of my ability. I knew that I didn't want those things. Not necessarily because of her or with her. And I was struggling with this just a couple months ago yet, trying to figure out why I was. But the truth of the matter is I like I say in my videos, I vision myself being with a man and being in that female role. I'm a very femme spirit. And of course I thought of having children, you know, and being mommy, really. You know, someone to play with and stuff. But maybe with the other things in my life that I desire, maybe that's just not a good combination is all. Maybe I think about this all the time. You know, I always say I wanted a children's rock and roll ministry kind of thing, or I felt led to go to start a children's rock and roll ministry. Maybe a lot of children is what's best for me. You know, best for me to entertain them and kind of just have kind of more of a private life, I guess you could say. I don't know how all that looks. I do know at that time I was 100% for sure I didn't want to start a family. You know, I wanted to really bury myself in my career, and I did. I buried myself in the career for 7.5 years. That's all I did. With that being said, can I just say that we had so many things in common. We were going to church every Sunday. Some of the funny things is when we would go to church, this is how much we desired it. Okay? We desired it so much to bring out the best in each other that even when we were drinking, after a show, maybe on a Saturday night, we would be drinking together. We'd go home. It wasn't uncommon for me to be drunk, you know, and we would be laughing and having a good time that night. We would wake up early, and if it wasn't me, it was her, encouraging, we gotta go, and a lot of times that was me, because I was hungry. I'm hungry for a better life. I'm hungry to figure out what's going on, what is the bigger picture. You know, I'm tired of suffering. I want to figure out who is this God? And there'd be times that I would force her to come with me, or vice versa. She'd be like, come on, you got to go with me to this church. And I went primarily because the music. I love the music. And I don't want to talk about a whole lot of that now, but there would be times that on our way there, that because we were still hungover from the night before, that we would have to pull alongside the road, and we would get sick along the way, or we would be sitting in at service, and one of us would say, hey, I got to make it to the bathroom here really quick because I'm about to get sick. So, I mean, we were die-hard and making sure that we would go, very dedicated. This was a wonderful feeling for me. It was the first time ever that I was in a relationship that I could talk and sit and talk about God. You know, the Christian faith of God. We were probably only together for about 2.5 years, maybe 3 years. I don't want to say for sure, approximately. You know, and our relationship started off with her desiring to help me through my hard time that I was going through. I have never been so torn apart in this process. I was going to medical doctors on a regular basis, not knowing what's going on here because it was stress. My stress really got a hold of me. And I realize now it's all the thoughts that I was thinking and the way that I was dealing with everything. I couldn't handle it. I wasn't ready to handle it as maturely at that time as I should have. So, with this being said, I don't want to say a whole lot about it, but can I say in this relationship, I eventually moved into a new apartment. This was an amazing apartment for me because it kind of nurtured everything in every area of my life that I needed. It was kind of secluded, so I had my privacy. I could make as much noise as I wanted to with my music or just listening to music or doing whatever I was doing, or I could have quietcy at any time, 24 hours, 7 days a week. I could have quiet. And I had my dog there. My office was set up in the living room, so pretty much sometime I'll have to I'm going to show some video of that little apartment that I used to have. It was kind of it was a 100-year-old barn that was converted into an apartment. The second floor was like a hayloft at one time. So it was pretty neat to learn the history of that home. And that's where my life really began to change. But with this girl, can I say that I was over in that apartment. She had a passion for Ocean City, Maryland. So during my shows, I started getting shows out in Ocean City, Maryland, and we had opportunities through friends that I met at my shows that opened up doors so that I could actually have a place to stay. I didn't have to worry about a hotel room or anything like that, and she was welcomed. Everybody loved her. Everybody loved her. She'd show up at the shows. Guys would dance with her. They'd ask me, "Is it okay if I dance with your girlfriend?" Everybody knew we were together, but she would dance and have a really good time, and I always appreciated that because I never had anybody in a relationship support me in my music career, ever. She was the first one, really diehard, that supported me. So, and she would always remind me, that I was further along than I gave myself credit. A lot of people realize, and I realize now, that I was way too hard on myself. My nature was I wanted more, I wanted to go further, I was a pusher, I pushed hard. And sometimes that was to the benefit of it all, and it was really good, and sometimes it was just totally tearing me down. And this was the process of being torn down. I was tearing myself down, going through this religious, spiritual adventure. It was kind of getting inside my head and making things even more challenging for me. I was a seeker, deep seeker. Told you I'm a deep thinker. So with this relationship, as it came to a conclusion, I realized that it was time to kind of move on because, though I won't talk about it a lot now, I started exploring. Remember I told you in the video before that I mentioned about Savannah and getting involved in some of the porn films, adult films. Porn probably isn't the proper terminology to use, but adult films. And I look at it more like an art. Okay, this was my opportunity to see the woman body, rather than looking at magazines, to see it kind of in action and different things like that, and kind of role play with my own imagination. Well, somehow, some way, and I'll tell you the stories about this, but I got a hold of transsexual adult films. And I'll tell you what, this really got into my mind. I started really surprisingly seeing this. This was the first time I'm totally exposed to this. And I started watching it, and again, this was not for perverse reasons. I started getting curious, and I started thinking to myself, how are these girls born this way, and things like this. Can you imagine the life that they have and the struggles they must have? And I'm thinking of this myself, and I'll tell you what, through my life, and I'll share that a little bit later with that transsexualism, I started realizing that I was through this. But with that being said, of course, she, like all the other girls that I dated, the most common thing was said, "Are you sure you're not a girl? Are you a girl? Because you act like a girl." Okay? Yes, I am a girl. I'm a lady. Okay? We're striving for it, and I'm working on it every day. But here's the thing. I was watching those films. I'm starting to look on the internet. That's really consuming my time now, because I worked on the computer all the time, designing my own website, connecting with people, looking for shows, booking gigs. I mean, I was a workhorse. And in between, I was watching more and more transsexual adult films. I started digging in more, talking to other girls online. The internet has been extremely helpful with this. But I'm attracted to this for the main reason is I'm seeking within myself what is going on here, with myself. Why all these things? Since my childhood, am I attracted to men? I'm with the most beautiful women in all the world. I'm struggling with that, and I realize that I want their body, so to speak. I want to have their body for me. So I was kind of with them for selfish reasons, but in this situation, it was a really almost best friend situation. And one day, somehow, some way, she came across a video of me, not of me. I didn't do videos at that time, but she came across a video that I had of transsexual adult films. This broke her heart. She had a lot of questions. And the first thing that went through my mind is, you question me all the time as to whether or not I'm a girl. Because I'm into girly things. She would say stuff like, most guys do not keep their, listen, please don't get offended, guys, but she would always tell you, most guys do not keep their apartment as in order as you do. Most guys do not have as femme ways as what you do. Because she dated a lot of guys, and listen, please, guys, don't get upset. This is what this was between the two of us, because anybody who got to know me throughout my life, I connected with girls. I wanted to do girl things. I wanted to dress like girls. I wanted to wear the booty shorts. I wanted to wear thigh-high boots and heels. And not so much heels, but the boots. Did I say the boots? The furry boots and the thigh-high boots. I wanted to wear those so bad. And style my hair, and wear makeup and stuff like that. This was very important to me. It's a way to express my inner spirit. This broke her heart. And I'm sorry that it broke her heart. But she found this. She questioned me. I'm thinking to myself, how in the world did you not... Why would you be upset at this, considering you're asking me all the time if I'm a girl or whatever? So there were some questions asked as to whether or not I watched it. I don't know if she was asking me if... I don't remember too much other stuff that she was asking me, but she was asking me some pretty in-depth questions. And I was honest with her because she was my friend, and I wanted to respect her. I didn't want to lie to her about anything. So that was a very hard moment in my life. And I know it wasn't hers. It broke her heart. It was unexpected. So, we used to fool around intimately. A lot of the girls that I was with, we'd fool around intimately, and of course, without talking a whole lot about it or who it was, there were things that I usually wanted done that would be perceived more as what a guy would do to a girl versus a girl doing to what was perceived to be a guy. And that's because I wanted to experience all of being a woman. Always did. My idea of woman. My idea of being a girl. So that relationship separated. I felt really bad about that because I didn't know how to deal with my whole life. I didn't know how to deal with it. At that time, I didn't go to a psychiatrist. I didn't go to a psychologist. I didn't study psychology. I didn't study all these other things, subjects that I'll share with you, hopefully, that I had the opportunity to study for a few years. So that was a hard separation for me. She moved on shortly after that. And if she's watching, I'm very grateful that we had our life together. It was for a season. It was meant for a season. And I often think about her and I wonder how she's doing. And how she's doing in her walk with the God that she believes in. That matters to me. Matters to me. And hopefully, if she is watching and she gives it a chance and she listens to the rest of my testimony with some of the categories that I broke it down to, she'll start to realize that it's because of her. She helped to bring it out. And I mean that in a very positive way. we had a lot of very deep conversations. And I was surprised that day when she brought in the videotape to question me. You know, I felt awful. I didn't want to hurt her. I had to be honest. And can I say that I don't regret coming out, by the way? I regret that I didn't come out sooner, but I didn't know. I wasn't educated. I missed out on a lot of things, or maybe I was saved from a lot of things too. Okay? I'm learning to have peace with that as I go through life. She was my best friend at that time. Because of her, I love beaches more and more. Every day. I found out I was a beach girl. Because we lived here in the city, and I told you, we hardly even left our neighborhood. So sometimes I was afraid to get off the porch. You know, I had anxieties when I started driving truck and leaving the state. Well, with her encouragement to go to Ocean City, Maryland, let me tell you something, I'll never forget the first time I was on the beach. There was other times that I was there. It was very brief, and I never had as much in-depth time and fun time as the time that I had with her. So anybody who knows me knows that I talk about being on the beach all the time. I always said I want to have a beach home someday. And that was really big for me, because being there while I did the shows in Ocean City, Maryland, I would take all my off time on my off days, and I would hang out on the beach, on the sand, looking at the waves. Remember, I was kind of afraid to go into the water. I'm not that good of a swimmer. So I'd spend a lot of time watching everybody else have fun. And during that time, I was wishing I was in a bikini. And I was wishing I could walk around the beach in a bikini and flirt with the guys. Okay? I could have, but I didn't. I was too scared. I'm not scared anymore. Hopefully I'll get to the beach someday soon. So I really love her as a friend. Our relationship means more than anything. She helped me to heal. She was my buddy. And like I said, we rode bike, we went rollerblading, we hitchhiked a lot, or not hitchhiked, we didn't hitchhike. We hiked up in the mountains a lot. Did a lot of talking, and she I don't want to say she was childish, she had that childlike mentality. So I had my play friend from back years ago, and I loved it. I used to pick on her about that a lot, and I wanted that. I wanted that energy. I did get that energy. It's because of her. Tapped into my childhood. Thank you. Sometime I think I told you that a lot of times when I would meet people, I'd always relate them to characters or musicians and stuff that I liked a lot. There were times, especially for some reason, I was really drawn to Joan Jett. And I think that starts on Lafayette. I told you I met a girl. I'm not saying that Joan Jett, she had that kind of that tough, appearance, tough rocker. Well, I was drawn, all my life I was drawn to more of the tough. The girl that I was just talking about, she didn't have that tough attitude. It was a very sweet, soft spirit. Much different than I would normally have been attracted to. I loved her so much as a friend. That's why I was drawn to her. These other girls, I was drawn to the toughness, for whatever reason. I realized more and more why it was. But I would notice that a lot of girls that I would be interested in, especially if they were my sister's friends, they kind of reminded me of Joan Jett. In their look, their appearance. I don't know if they were fans of her at one time, and they're trying to present that image or what have you, but I would relate that, and I would tell these people, these girls, that, did anybody, kind of like I did with my child's mother, anybody ever tell you that you look like Savannah? And that would be my thing. Did anybody ever tell you look like Joan Jett? And I was drawn to that. And I'll tell you what, most of the relationships I was in, all the wrong reasons. And they were never good matches, most of them, and I'm not talking about the ones I dated for years, like the one I was just talking about, or the first girl I was with, or the one with the child and stuff like that. We had a lot of things in common, but a lot of times it wasn't. I'm trying to figure out my sexuality, and I'm trying to live through these girls, okay? Wrong. It was wrong for me to do that, but I didn't know any better. I'm doing the best I can. We're all learning as we go. And I remember, and this is more aimed for the adults. I'm going to try to use as appropriate language as possible for everybody, because this is an educational video. All of this, my life journey, is meant to be an educational video in hopes of helping other people to kind of get along with one another and maybe tap into something within their selves, to get in their heart, to be more open and honest with who they are. But I remember the first time I ended up talking to my brother about this was I had the van that I told you that my dad had at one time. It was mine. And that was an exploration vehicle, if you will. And remember, I was talking about in some other videos that we used to cruise the circuit. Well, I used to use the van to cruise the circuit in Lebanon and try to pick people up. That was the normal thing to do around here. And I ended up meeting a girl that was from outside the city. And her and some friends were together, and me and the people I was hanging with at the time, and somehow we ended up getting alone. And she had children. And I really admired her because she reminded me a lot of my mother. And she didn't want to kind of expose her relationships to her children unless she knew it was going to be going to a more serious level. So I respected that, honored it, and eventually I did get to meet her kids, and I'm telling you what, I loved it. She had 2 or 3 children, and I got to go over there and play with them and stuff. I really miss them. I can only imagine they're growing up now. I hope everything's working out for them. But can I just say that, remember the Swati I told you I first started nude sunbathing in? Well, let me tell you, we went back to that spot in my van without giving you all the details. Rather than the bed, we were on the floor, and I don't know how else to say this. She had an orgasm, and it was not like the normal one that I ever experienced through a woman at any other time, okay? May I just say, and I mean this as clean as possible, because I've talked to other guys about this because I was very curious to know. I'm going to be honest. I thought she kind of went to the bathroom on me. This was the first time that a girl ever done this, okay? And I know you're probably laughing right now. Some of you may fall off your chair. I don't know. Some of you may be disgusted. Please don't be disgusted. I don't know how else to talk. But can I say that I was wet head to toe? Okay? And a lot of guys that I've talked to about this, they were just like blown away by this. They were just like, wow, are you serious? And it was my brother who knew exactly what I was talking about. And you know, amongst the guys, you know, that's a great thing. That's a score kind of thing. You know, that's a huge score on your card. And to me, I was very honest. I said, you know what? It wasn't pleasurable for me. It wasn't pleasurable for me at all. So much that it hurt this girl's feelings because I swore up and down she went to the bathroom on me. Okay, so this is something new for me. This is something new for me. And eventually she explained it to me, and I double-checked with my brother to make sure this girl wasn't lying to me. And he explained things to me as well. And I don't want to drag in his personal life, but for me, it was hard. Now I tapped into something else, and it's like, I started thinking to myself, I'm missing out on a lot myself because, I mean, I'm really feeling girly throughout my life. And I'm not getting why this isn't interesting to me. And why I'm hurting because I wanted to be her doing this. Okay, that's the way I felt. I wanted to be her doing this with a man. You know, I wanted to be with a man doing this. That was a very challenging experience in my life, and an experience that I'll never get to have because I am a transgendered lady. So mine are much different. Everything's much different for me. So I'm learning to embrace and appreciate all of me. So, as goofy as that may sound to the guys who are watching, and hopefully, like I said, I'm trying to be for all age groups here. And if you're upset at the way that I may be wording some things, understand this is my first time go around. And I'm trying to be as clean as possible when I talk about this. This is an educational video, believe it or not. So, that being said, I'm learning more and more about the human bodies, relationships, the importance of having similar passions in life, you know, to connect with each other. So for a lot of the guys, I'm going to say straight up right now, I've noticed once I came out, living my life as a lady, A lot of guys that I met that wanted to date me that did not know that I was a transsexual. You know, sometimes I can really nail the mark of putting on a really good presentation that is just phenomenal, really, and that's what I want to do. That's standard all the time. But I miss the mark sometimes, my voice, or if it's the way I'm dressed, or I'm stressed, I'm mad, frustrated. Sometimes I just don't hit my own mark, is what matters to me the most. I don't hit my own mark. And I would meet guys that might not know that I was transgendered. And that's the last thing I even wanted to ever share with the guys once they start liking me. Because, can I be honest with you? Most guys that I met, they had interest in me until they found out I was transgendered. And I can say I honestly can't blame them for walking away from me. You know, society puts way too much pressure and expectations of how we should be living our life and what's appropriate, what's not appropriate. You know, I love men a lot. And, you know, I always tried to withhold that because I would try to finagle the way in that maybe if they like me and they share time with me, that they'll kind of overlook that. But can I assure you that more so than not, that's not the case. And if it is a guy that's secure with it himself, he's okay, but then you got to kind of be a closet secret. And I don't know if any of you know what I mean by that, but let's just say what happens in a bedroom is okay as long as nobody else knows, you know? And they sure don't want to walk down the street with you. That's very challenging for someone like me. Because you hide your whole life, you don't even know who you are, and once you figure it out, you want to celebrate life. You want to live your life freely. You don't want to hurt anybody else's life, but let me just say that I understand, because when I came out, which I'm not going to talk about that now, when I came out, I lost everything and everyone in my life. All at once. It wasn't funny then. Okay? It wasn't funny then. And as I talk about me coming out as a transsexual lady, I will emphasize more on the guys that I dated, because I also dated guys then. And can I just say there was someone special in my life for a couple years. And one thing I admired about him the most is he didn't care what anybody else thought. With anybody. Whoever he was with, he didn't care. And a lot of people admired him for many, many different reasons. He knows how to make a lady feel good about herself. You know who you are. You know who you are. Very few men are like that. And I don't want to be an insult to men. It's because of education. It's because people aren't awareness. People aren't aware. And that's why I'm here. That's why I want to share my story, because I'm going to be 41 this year. I tell you that. But there's some other girls coming up in the next generations behind me. And my hope is that things will change, and guys will start being a little more confident and not care so much about, it won't be such a big deal to society. How about that? Not so much with the guys, but society won't put pressure on the guys to steer them away from what they're really attracted to. And I say that respectfully, I hope. Give me a chance to just share my story. I got a lot to share yet. I have hope for that, and that's why I am sharing my story. I'm not here to try to save the world. Some guys tease me about that. I'm not here to save the world. I'm here to pave the way. Mental freedom. It's what's inside that matters the most. And that's what I found out I'm attracted to with most of these people I was with, dating. I learned through the process. I was attracted to their inner spirit. Their acceptance of me for who I was at that time, though challenging for all of us, okay? I'll talk about my dog here in a little bit. With Riggs, my buddy. I want to save that for last. Right now I made a list of some bouncy ball moments. I'm just going to throw this in. Some things to kind of make you laugh. My mom's boyfriend's car, the Roadrunner, had side pipes on it for some time. I think I remember him taking them off. I didn't like that. I started to like the side pipes things, and just wanted to share that I remember getting in and out of that car several times and burning my leg on that side pipe. Why am I sharing that with you? Does it matter? It's a memory I reflect back on and getting in and out of that car. I was warned. I was warned. Don't burn yourself on that side pipe. I burned myself anyway, didn't I? It happens. I had a lot of different cars. The main reason I had cars is because I wanted to make friends. I wanted people to think I was cool. Now I love cars a lot. I love going to car shows. I don't necessarily need to own cars like that anymore. Just one for myself, you know. Sportier car, what have you, is what I like. You know, good gas mileage. Sunroof. Surround sound stereo system. Because I love my music. Maybe heated seats, you know, keep my hiney warm when I'm driving in the cold from the beach. But I don't care so much about having the kind of cars that I used to. But I do like going to the car shows. There's car shows going on right now up in Hershey. I would have loved to go see. But I'm an admirer a lot of that. So I had my first car that I ever had was a 73 Duster. It was my mom's car. She gave it to me, so I'd have something. Much like my bike, I kind of bugged her. I wanted a car, and we couldn't really afford one, so she gave me her car. And let me just say, it was an expense I couldn't afford. Eventually, after that 73, let's just say this: I don't want to hold off too much on these cars, but my first one got wrecked by a friend, and the light switch was kind of messed up on it. So basically, the lights sometimes would go out when you were driving, and I warned him about it. I was drunk, and he took me to my brother because I wanted to talk to him about my first girlfriend. I really missed her a lot. And while I was there crying, just to let you know, I've dealt with suicidal tendencies throughout my whole life. And this was one of those times. And my family and my friends at that time, they really cared. They cared. They took me to my brother. That's who I wanted to see. I was drunk. And they took me out there safely. Meanwhile, they had to run somebody else back in town. They came back out to come pick me up, and the lights went out. They missed a stop sign. They launched it like the Dukes of Hazzards into a yard. And basically, because I know some parts of the car, it broke a weld on the K-frame. Only we didn't know this. We didn't know it, so you can only imagine how much wasted time was involved in getting the front end alignment, getting new tires that chewed up the front tires. So we needed to collect them throughout months of driving that car. And finally, you know what? It got to the point that it was time to get another car. Got a 74 Duster. And my brother and his friends were really cool about it. They actually transferred everything from that car into my 74 Duster. So from the 73 Duster to the 74, everything kind of matched up. And I wanted a loud car and fast car for all the reasons I was telling you about. And I was over visiting. I got the opportunity to go visit my first girlfriend at that time when I bought that 74 Duster. And can I tell you, I had it for 6 days. 6 days. And I'm going to share this story with you. It's kind of a spiritual story. It will take you into some of my spiritual journey that I had. After that car was done, I remember driving it through town, had cherry bombs. This car was loud, very loud. If anybody who knows Motorhead, the cherry bombs were broken in, okay? So it was cool to stand there, sit there at a red light in neutral and rev it up, and it would bang and carry on, and sometimes it seemed like little tiny flames would come out the side. Just little tiny, bang, bang, you know, kind of thing. It sounded really amazing, not like that. Not like that either. So anyway, 6 days into it, Tesla's really big at that time. Did I say it right? Is it Telsa or Tesla? Okay. Love Will Find a Way was a song. And that day, I refused to listen to it ever since then, and I'll tell you why. That was our song, me and my first girlfriends. We've been separated many times, now we're getting back together. I'm not sure how old I was during this time. I don't want to start mentioning ages because my memory right now can't recall everything. But I do remember very plainly that I was driving out there, I had all the windows down, I'm listening to Tesla, Love Will Find a Way, the love song, the whole way out there into Greville, which is right outside near Myerstown and outside of Lebanon, Pennsylvania. I'm on these country roads following alongside the Swati Way. Beautiful night out, beautiful day. And I get to the stop sign, of course, and I'm just racing on down through the road. So I'm really excited, looking forward to going out. Got my brother's high back bucket seats, if anybody knows what I'm talking about there. Motorheads know, I don't need to have time to explain everything. But he had the diamonds, kind of his interior was shaped like a diamond, and he left me put them in my car. That's how much my brother loved me. You know, I wanted a nice car, and he helped me to get it ready. And anyway, this was the first time. Whenever I went over to their house, their parents' house, I was always like, the monitor is the house. My car, there was a row of cars, and the nose of the car was always there at the monitor, okay? And then all the cars kind of lined up by side, facing the house. So when you pulled into the driveway like this, then you pulled up to the house. This one day, because I figured I'm only going to be there for a little while, I decide I'm going to park down here. I don't even know why. I pulled in this way past the house. What was the deal? Can I be honest? I don't know why I parked there at all. Because I was told specifically never park there because it's for the neighbors actually own this house. So there was a couple of apartments within this. And I don't want to share a whole lot of this story right now, but can I just tell you with this car, I parked it where I wasn't supposed to park it. It was a beautiful day out. The windows were down. I'm listening to Tesla, Love Will Find a Way, you know, a love song. And I go inside. And it wasn't long after we were there, we get a call. And I'll explain more of the details of this some other time. I get a call that there's a big branch on the roof of my car. Imagine how upset I was. I just got this car together and it had a nice paint job on it. It was green, like an emerald green. Had my brother's wheels on it, had my brother's high back bucket seats on it. I mean, Krieger's, if anybody knows what that is. So I remember going out. At that time, I was very defensive. Is that the right word? Defensive over my car. You better not be close to my car and stuff like that. Don't lean against it. Don't sit on it. Don't do any of that. Because we used to do a lot of that. And we always respected everybody else's cars. All the time when we hung out on the circuit. So I go out. I think I'm just mad. I'm mad. I'm being a bulldog. Who put a branch on my car? How did this happen? Did it fall off the tree? And I knew in my mind I should have never parked there. And I'll never forget when I looked out the window of the door. There it was. It was pouring down, raining. The wind picked up. It was just amazing windstorm of rain came along. And I rushed out there. And let me tell you, I fell on the hood of my car because it wasn't a branch. It wasn't a branch. And anybody who was there that day, they remember how I reacted. It was hard to pull me off the car because this tremendously huge round tree somehow, through that windstorm and the rain, blew over the entire tree and it landed on the roof. Can you imagine how I felt? I can't afford a car. My brother just put in all that work to that car. I was told not to park that car there. You know, his bucket seats, the roof was buckled down so far that it pushed the driver's seat down into the steering wheel. Okay. How about if I just share the story with you really quick? I used to go there and I'd play guitar. Everybody knew at that time that I was a musician. I loved to play my guitar. So a lot of places when I went to people's house, get the guitar. Or in this situation, her little brother had an old acoustic guitar of mine that I gave to him. And he was good at fixing, tinkering with it and getting it working. I was never good, like a guitar technician kind of thing. I'm not good with that. But he was. And I remember she was upstairs doing her hair, her big puffy hair, and her sister was so beautiful. The girls are getting ready. And her younger brother is just like, hey, why don't you play the guitar? Why don't you sing for us? Why don't you sing for us? But I'm telling everybody, let's go into town, let's hang out. I got the music in there, all kinds of cassettes. I think we're gonna go drinking, I'm not sure. Let's go hang in town before it gets too late. And the girls are trying to get ready and everything, and next thing you know, I sit down with her younger brother, I'm playing the guitar and singing. Now understand, this whole time, now they are done with their hair, they're down there, I want to go, and they keep saying, play another song, play another song, play another song. At that time, I really don't remember everything that I was playing, but I know it was Bon Jovi probably, Poison, Tesla's Love Song, I knew the beginning of that, so they like to hear that. Beth by Kiss, so I'm doing a lot of these 80s rock and rolls kind of songs, and whatever they wanted to hear, I'd always play just a little, never the whole song, and I'd sing a couple. And probably Every Rose Has Its Thorn was one that stuck with me a long time. So this is during that generation when these songs are pretty dominantly popular. When I noticed that car out there, and I ran out there, and I fell flat on that hood. Okay, because the call came while I was playing guitar when this happened. And nobody thought anything of it. It's a branch. All I know is my girlfriend at the time, she was just kind of like, uh-oh, you know, she going to be really upset. I wonder what happened kind of thing. Everybody was afraid because they knew how upset I would have been if somebody was messing with the car. So with that being said, I ran out there and I fell into the hood of the car. I'm crying. I don't understand, why did all this stuff happen to me. I'm trying to get my life together. This time I'm working for a masonry company and stuff. And it took them to come out there and keep pulling me. They were crying, please come in, please come in, please come in. They knew how much that car meant to me. You know, I was so excited to have that back after the other one was just wrecked. Okay? So understand, it's kind of sending the signal right away. Don't invest so much finances and value the cars so much, because the bottom line is, look what's happening. They're only temporary. Anything could happen at any given time. So anyway, long story short, I'm really devastated over this. I started drinking and everything. I ended up going up to the bedroom. They kind of shared a big bedroom together. Everybody had their own beds, and I laid in my girlfriend's bed at the time, holding myself and drinking, and then I fell asleep. At some point in the middle of the night, I wake up, right? And I hear her mother, who was right in the next room beside that room, talking to her two daughters and her son. Okay, the family. They were all talking. And I heard her say, I'm getting goosebumps. This is when you know I'm not lying. Can you see the goosebumps at all? I don't know if you can see that. I have goosebumps. Usually when I have goosebumps all over me when I'm telling a story, I always tell people I have goosebumps. That's how you can tell I'm not lying. I don't know why I say that. I just do, because I get the goosebumps. I have them now again. My hair's starting to stand up. I have just a little bit of hair there. So, I hear them talking. And I heard her mother say that her mother was there visiting her. And she believed, I don't remember the details, but she believed that she was there to protect me. What do you think of that? Her mother had passed away. I don't know how long ago before that. But I do remember that my girlfriend woke up, or noticed that I woke up at the time. She came running in crying. And then she told me, she reconfirmed what I heard. She said that her mom was saying that her mom was there as an angel. Here we go, look at this. Her mom was there as an angel, talking about that she was there to protect me. Understand, the girl that I was dating, she was only 4'11". She would have been in the passenger seat. I'm tall, I'm 6'2". I would have been in the driver's seat. If I would have got my way, and we would have all left together, let me just say, this is the way the car was sitting. The roof, the tree was the whole way across the roof. The high bat bucket seat in the driver's seat was all the way front into the steering wheel. What do you think would have happened to me? This is when I was 17. She's only 4'11". It didn't even look like the roof buckled at all there. Even if it would have touched the bucket seat on her side. Her head never went up that high. Her hair was tall, so it might have touched her hair just a little bit, the spikes. But it wouldn't have. It wouldn't have hurt. It wouldn't have got her like it would have got me. Probably would have snapped my neck, or who knows. And her brother usually sat behind me, and he was shorter too. And her sister on the other side, and it didn't seem to touch the passenger side of the car, even though it went the whole way across the roof. The structure of the roof buckled down more on the driver's side. So with us talking, we're manifesting this off of each other, and with her mother feeling that her mother was there visiting her as an angel, protecting me. I mean, everybody's feelings were just like, wow. Is this true? What do you think? Do you think maybe there was, like at the place back in Jonestown, do you think maybe there was an angel there? I'm sure she could testify and witness to the fact that her mother was there, talking to her in her room. Sometime during the middle of the night, I was kind of sleeping closer to the wall. Like, here's the bed. I was sleeping, if this monitors the wall, I was sleeping on this side. My girlfriend at the time was sleeping on the outside. She held me that night because I was so devastated over this. And then there's two beds facing this way. Okay, one on this side of the room and one on this side of the room. Brother's over here, sister. You know, I don't really remember the full layout of the bedroom, but I just remember where our bed was, where me and my girlfriend at the time was sleeping. In the middle of the night, something woke me up. And I looked out from across where I was on the bed. There was 2 bedroom windows. I specifically remember one. Did you ever see any images of the Grim Reaper? Ever? Online? The internet? There was a shadow of what appeared to be the Grim Reaper looking in at me. Even down to a sickle kind of thing, but I wouldn't say it was, but it kind of looked like that. Something in my mind, you think I was drinking a little bit too much? That's the only thing I was doing. I wasn't doing anything else. Things were a little foggy. You think maybe my eyes were a little foggy? I remember I was so scared. I didn't see no face. All I seen was what appeared to be a robe over someone, and I didn't see the whole body. Got goosebumps all over me again. Instantly, I kind of covered myself up because you'll find out I had other spiritual experiences similar like this. So I covered myself up under the blankets, and all of a sudden I felt this cool air go across. And at the foot end of the bed, there was her bathroom. They left the door open with the light on in the bathroom, so it was kind of like a night light in the bedroom. And all I saw, when I finally lifted my head up a little again to kind of look, because I was wondering where that air was coming from and I didn't see anything in the window. The second time I looked up, there was this long hand. It appeared to be like a bony structure. Okay? Going like this. But I didn't see no body. I didn't see no face. All I saw was a hand. Ever see something like that? I'm wondering, should I get out of my bed and follow? I'm terrified. Froze. I didn't know what to do. Do I wake up my girlfriend? Everybody else is sleeping. I buried myself under the blanket again. I was terrified. I was so scared. When everybody woke up, I told them what I saw. And of course that was a big topic because her mother saw an angel, her mother, and the story that they shared. This was 2 different separate encounters. So of course we fed off this for a long time. We talked about it. Why was the car that way? I talked to my mother about it, who is very spiritual and had different things happen in her life. And the conclusion that we all came through together as a family is that, and this stuck with me for the rest of my life. I'm not saying it was true. Okay? I mean, what I'm sharing with you is true, but I'm not saying this conclusion was true. But it was made to believe that I was supposed to die that night, or I was going to die that night. But but I was saved. Okay? By another energy source who prevented that from happening. Now the image that I first saw, what appeared to be the Grim Reaper, was at the window closest towards the car. Okay? I was a lost soul during those years. I think I remember you telling me I was trying to escape a lot of things. I think maybe there was something within myself that created all of this to happen. There's a lot of things that went through my mind as I went through my life, and I get to share more with you. But I shared it with my mom, and you're probably going to think it's crazy, but my mother said that if I would have got out of bed and followed into the bathroom, that there's a good chance that I wouldn't be there with her. She felt very strong about that. That there was a darker energy that was there. And she didn't say energy, but that there was something there that night. They kind of wanted my soul, my spirit, me. You know, did you ever think of things like that? Remember I told you I thought I saw an alien when I was a kid. This time I'm 17. This time I'm 17 and I think I see the Grim Reaper. But is it the Grim Reaper that's the images like online? Did I see this in the movies? Why is this happening to me? And what about her mom? What about the kids talking about her mom, seeing her mom who had passed away? And she clearly told her that she was there to protect us. That there was something else there. Why was the weather so beautiful? I had my windows down. Remember, my car was only there temporary with the windows down yet. I never parked my car there, and I never left my windows down. Everybody knows that. I always locked the doors. Got cassettes in there, my stereo system. This stuff stuck with me throughout my life. Was I meant to die that day? I'd ask myself that. Years it haunted me. Can I tell you in all honesty? My drinking increased. A lot. Not only am I dealing with my whole life, now I'm dealing with this. And I don't know what to do with it at all. So for a long time after that, I would tell people for years that when I was 17, I believed that I was meant to die. But I was saved. My mom used to tell me that it's because God had a big plan for my life. And there was a dark force that's trying to prevent me, or prevent it from being fulfilled. That's what she would tell me all the time. We drank together a lot, so we were drunk at the times. Did you ever have anybody tell you that? God has a plan for your life. I got told that a lot throughout my life. You're going to find out as I share more about my spiritual journey, getting involved in religion, that a lot of bizarre stuff that I've been through, similar to that. I have people that they might not want to testify on camera that it happened, but if we were to talk to them off camera, they'd be a witness to the fact that we had encounters like that together. Okay? So throughout my life, I realized that we don't just live in a physical world. There's much more going on. Things we may never be aware of, or understand. Things we'll never understand, maybe. Or maybe someday we will understand a lot more. How's that? So that troubled me. I used to have nightmares during this time. And it was the same dream over and over and over again. And in this dream, I was always drinking a lot. I still see the vision perfect. I'm driving a muscle car. I got my stereo playing. The equalizer lights are flashing all over. I told you I had green lights in the back of my speakers. I don't know if I told you, but my speakers on my rear deck in my cars from my 74 on. They had little flashing green lights that went to the base. Pom, pom, pom. So my car looked pretty cool going down the road with the inside. It just looked like it was a dance floor. I don't know why I was into stuff like that then. I'm not so much now. But in this dream, I would be driving a muscle car. Never clear what car it was. Lights were flashing. I'm drinking. And I was at a specific red light on Cumberland Street, 10th and Cumberland Street in London, Pennsylvania. Look it up. Check it out. This was in my dream. And in that dream all the time, I would be hearing what I call dark voices. Now this is my dream. This isn't what I saw. Dark voices. But it was the same dream over and over and over again. These dark voices whispering into my ears. Laughing. And I would be laughing. And that dream always ended in a car accident. Only it was always just before it happened that I woke up. Did you ever hear of that if you're ever falling off of something, or if you're getting into an accident, they always say that you want to wake up before you actually hit? Like if you're falling out of a building, that before you hit the ground, you need to wake up, because if you don't, you might die. Did you ever hear that? Or if you're in a car accident, you wake up before you get into that accident. Because if you get into that accident in your sleep, you probably aren't going to wake up. Anybody ever share that with you? When I used to share my dream with only a select few people that were close to me, my very close friends, my girlfriend, my mother, that's what they would tell me. They would say, please wake up before you get into an accident. So there was something in my mind, even when I was dreaming that, is I would remember, I have to get up, I have to wake up from this. But I don't know why. For a lot of years in my teen years, this was the same dream, and I had it a lot. I never really took the time to study a whole lot about dreams. So I'm wondering, was it something I was exposed to? Was it a movie that I saw as a child growing up? Was it ghost stories? I grew up with a lot of ghost stories. Was there something that I was kind of missing in my life? Was there something from within myself that was manifesting this outwardly? I don't know. This was a dream. I'm not saying that this happened. You're going to find out in my spiritual journey that a lot of very similar things like this occurred. Not so much anymore. It seems that when we talk about it more, that's when things start happening. So there's a side of me. You can laugh all you want or share a story right down here. Leave a comment, please. Leave a comment. Share me your story. Or send me an email. Maybe you have something posted online. Something spooky. Was it all the Scooby-Doo cartoons that I watched? I don't know. But I do know that that story I just shared with you with that car, that's real. That was a real deal. Okay? I know I keep looking at myself. I'm going to. It's a force of habit. I'm sorry. I want to make sure that I'm on camera. I don't know if they'd testify on camera, but I know that if we were all together talking about it, we'd be like, yeah, I remember that. I remember that. You know? After that 74 Duster, or I should say after that accident, I swore I would never listen to Tesla's love song ever. Ever. To me, it seemed that it was bad luck. Only because of that accident. I'm not saying it is. It's a great song. Look it up. Look it up. Tesla's love song. It's a beautiful, beautiful song. I loved it so much. So the fact that I was listening to this and, you know, the weather's beautiful, and then I park it where I'm not supposed to, Tracilyn, and then I get called, there's a branch on the hood of your car, you go out there, it's this huge tree, and I'm telling you, this was not a small tree, it was huge. It was like they were kind of, I'm not saying they were, it was kind of like they were making a joke at me because they knew how much I loved the car. You know? And then seeing the Grim Reaper in the window, waking up at some point, At some point, understand, I didn't really take the time to evaluate this. At some point in that night, whether it was after or before that I seen this image, that my girlfriend came running in to me, and we got to share the different stories. And then seeing it in the bathroom, and then me sharing it with my mom. I mean, this stuff just manifests up. And you can imagine now I have all this stuff going on in my life, and now the Grim Reaper is out to get me. Why? What did I do? I don't know. I don't know what I did, but I was pretty scared to go outside after that. Let me tell you, especially at nighttime. Sometimes we go into the backyard and I'd be drunk trying to talk to it. Talk, are you still here? Are you still here? What do you want from me? And I remember feeling an energy source at the end of the yard there. And I wasn't the only one. Other people that lived there said that at nighttime, very late at night, they would feel like they would just feel that there was something there, but that it wasn't clear what it was. I would feel like an energy that was there. An energy that wanted to communicate with me. But it didn't appear to be a very happy energy, if you will. Okay? So I was kind of scared to go down there late at night. Sometimes the dogs would just start barking for any reason. Could have been anything, chipmunk, you know. But we didn't know. And when you're drinking and you're having a good time and you're hanging out and everybody's inside, sometimes you sneak outside to see because you still have questions. Why did I see what I saw in that window? What was it really trying to do? Was it trying to take my spirit, my soul? I don't know. I don't know. I don't know what was happening. Thank goodness my girlfriend's mom's mom, who had passed away and was an angel that day. Evidently, you know, that's what they say. Rumor has it that she saved me, saved all of us. There was something that kept us there. Remember, I want to go. I want to go. Sometimes in life, we may want to go, and something's saying, don't go. Not now. Not yet. Please remember that. Whatever it applies to. Because the bottom line is, whether it was real or not, there's a hallucination of the minds, all of us together. Can I just say that tree falling on the car was not a hallucination. That was real. The next day, I'm dealing with this for a long time. It took me a long time to heal over this. And this was a most confused period of time in my life. Just lost one car, second car, now the Grim Reaper. Okay, all kinds of weird things kind of going on. So I ended up losing my job because I was working at the masonry company, and I was known to take off work like I did school. You know, I didn't like it. I liked the guys. I appreciated the company. I wasn't in alignment with what I wanted to do with my life. I didn't know who I was and what was going on there. But I ended up calling, and I was crying, and he said, you know, there's other ways for you to get to work. You know, we can come pick you up. Did you ever think of that? That's what he told me. Did you ever think we can come pick you up? Somebody can come get you. We need you. And I was so devastated. I said, no, to you it might not mean something, but to me, that I didn't tell him about the spiritual part. But I was traumatized over this. So, you know the real reason now why I didn't want to go to work. And he had to leave me go. And I totally understand. And actually, I'm kind of grateful. Because I was working around heights and stuff, and I was scared. I was scared. It wasn't for me. It wasn't for me. Feels like it was only yesterday that I'm sharing that story with you. In between having the dusters, at some point, I got a 72 Dodge Demon. I'll never forget when it was for sale on Lehman Street, and when I passed by, my only disappointment was it needed a paint job, and but the price was right, and I took it for a ride, one ride, burned out, and I said, okay, I gotta have this car. So the car could burn out. Somehow I had money saved, or I got money together. I got this car, and can I tell you, it was a headache. It was a headache. I had friends, we went drinking, we did all kinds of things because I couldn't afford to get it its paint job. We kind of used really cheap paint to make stripes on the side because I wanted the demon stripes on the side. One of the cars that I always wanted and to fix up was a Dodge Dart Demon. You know, a specific grill that they have on, kind of like a double grill for any motorheads out there. Always like the single snorkel hood scoop. Didn't have a hood scoop on it. Always like the wings on the back. I really love the Dodge Dart Demons. They're very sexy cars. But I liked my dusters first, and then after having this, I really started liking the Demons once I started seeing other pictures and magazines and stuff, and there was other guys in town that would come through and they'd have Demons and stuff. And can I just say, in the end, I ended up getting into trouble because there were things that, to keep these cars going. Because later on, I didn't just have the Demon, then I had my dad's van. That was an expense I couldn't afford. Then I had that AMX. And then after the AMX, I had an Aspen, a 77 Aspen, while I'm trying to still keep my Demon, because I swore up and down, someday I'm going to have a fully restored Dodge Demon in the garage. And why in the garage, I don't know, because I don't want it to get scratched or a tree fall on it. I don't want the Grim Reaper to come and take my Demon. You know, I don't know. Please don't take my Demon. But eventually I had to part ways with that, and that was really hard. I was grow-up time, as a famous preacher later says. It was time for me to grow up and realize that I couldn't afford these cars. And let me just say that it was a headache. It wasn't worth it in the end. Yeah, I got a couple friends, some really close friends, got a lot of good memories in those cars. Went parking, a lot of parties. We went to a lot of car parties, hung out in town, raced in town, got speeding tickets in town. I want to share 2 more stories about having cars, and then after that I'm going to kind of let it go. In order to support the car habit, I had to do things that I didn't appreciate. You know, I told you about having, you know, the need for tires, the need to have different parts on the car, so you went to junkyards. You know, sometimes you went and let me just say, I am so sorry for those times. I'm so sorry that I didn't realize that I just needed to let go of the cars. It wasn't for me at that time. Okay? Ride bike. You know, walk. So, I most certainly would never do anything like that now, and it gives me a little better understanding of what other people are going through, you know? It's confused psychological things, you know? I want to fit in. I want to fit in. Even to this day, I don't necessarily want to fit in. You know, I want to stand out and yet somehow blend in, you know. Be an individual, but yet blend in with society. So those were tough years for me. With the 73 Duster, I remember being uptown, or being up in Coleman's Park here in Lebanon, Pennsylvania. And up at the very top of this park, there's a big parking lot. And everybody went up there during the daylight hours, in the summer especially, to play frisbee, to play throw football, or whatever games, you know, some sports that were going on up there. It wasn't for me. Or you go wax your cars, polish your wheels, just talk, listen to music, crank out the 80s rock and roll music, you know, everybody's just kind of hanging out, get ready to go drinking that night, talking about things. I wasn't too heavy into drugs at this time. I usually only drank at night for some reason. I don't know why I didn't drink during the day. And I'm still trying to find my way, trying to connect with other people. So I go out there. I'm not sure if I'm with a friend or not. At that time, I was usually with my cousin or whatever. And I go up there, and everybody tells me to lay low. You know, they just motion, lay low, lay low. And everybody was hush hush. It was a cop. I had somebody pulled over at that time. And I pulled in the parking lot, and who do I think I am? I'm cool. I'm trying to get, hey, everybody, watch what I'm going to do. And when I left that parking lot, knowing there's a cop there, he had somebody pulled over. This is when I learned it doesn't matter if a cop has somebody pulled over. If he wants to get you, he's going to get you. And let me tell you, when I left that parking lot, I slammed on the gas, and I learned that because I couldn't do it with some cars, with that car you couldn't do it head on or like a brake torque kind of thing, you know what I mean? Holding the brake, push on the gas. Couldn't do it with that car. But I noticed that if you turned the wheel really sharp and slammed on the gas, especially if it was to the right, okay, you could light them up. I don't know why that was, but you could light them up. And I left that parking lot, and I took the first turn, and when I did, I slammed on the gas, and we burned rubber down there. And can I tell you, by the time I just got down at the bottom of the hill, anybody from Lebanon, you know that hill? Let me tell you something, the cop was already there. He got me. He dropped what he was doing up there, and he stopped me. He got out, and he was pretty much upset with me. So he raised his voice, and he got my driver's license. He took me up to the top of the hill. I was told that I had to follow him up, or he followed me up to the top of the parking lot there. He finished writing out the ticket to what he was already doing, then he got me. And everybody told me, I told you, I told you, I told you. And I'm thinking to myself, I want to be cool. And at the same token, that cop isn't going to chase me. He's working with somebody else right now. But I'm not thinking of all the consequences involved in that, and I'm sorry that I did that, by the way. Number one, I love the park. I didn't want to hurt, damage the park by burning rubber in there or anything like that. That wasn't right, and it wasn't. Everybody did it. In all honesty, everybody did it at that time. This is years ago. Years ago. I wasn't even 18 at that time. And it was when I learned that if the cops want to get you, they're going to get you. And their radios are faster, and they're faster than my car. So the good news is that in the end, after he calmed down, he was upset at first. But understand, these cops knew these people with the cars back in the day. So it was very hard not to see a tan duster. Later on, he knew exactly where to get me. If he didn't get me there, he would have ended up approaching me at some time. Duh, Gonna be hanging in town. Where am I gonna hide that car? I'm gonna repaint it or something? He knows who it is. So he was calm, and he gave me my ticket, and he told me, be safe, and don't lay off the gas pedal the next time you take that turn, lay off the gas pedal. So thank goodness for the officers during the 80s and 90s, I guess it was, probably the late 80s, early 90s, all that generation, they really nice cops. I ended up being in a band with a cop later on, I'll tell you about that. So that was cool, and sometimes we'd have stories like that to share. So that was a great experience for me. And then when I was in the Demon one time, I'd be racing down Cumberland Street on 422. And would you believe that it was very grateful, I was grateful that this cop could not clock me. I guess he used to use like a gun. Me and my cousin were goofing off, we were racing people. And we took off on this long stretch on Cumberland Street. And can I just say, for anybody who lives there, it's right around the Merchandiser area. And this is years ago. I hit over 100 miles an hour. This is how crazy, this is how crazy I wanted people to like me. This is how crazy I was to want people to think I was cool. But I wasn't cool. That wasn't cool. That's not cool. Speed limit was 35, it dropped down to 25. And can I just say that the cop ended up coming out for me just like the other situation. It didn't take him long to catch me. I came up on other cars, so I'm fighting a lot of the car drivers back in those days with the muscle cars. You try to elude a cop. It was hard. It was easier on a motorcycle. For the motorcycle guys, they could kind of lose the cops after a while, hoovering around the alleyways and stuff like that. They could, and I'm not encouraging this. I mean, this is people in that day trying to be cool, And can I just say that I tried to lose him by going into an alleyway. There was too many cars. At the hospital where I was born at, he got me in that parking lot there, and he got out, and it was for my blessing that he knew my cousin. And he knew my cousin's parents. They were involved with the local fire stations and police stations heavily. And let me tell you, it didn't go without a lecture. It didn't go out without a lecture. And an insult of, bottom line is, why are you hanging out with this person? To him, you need to get better friends. That's what he told my cousin. And I'll tell you what, he had me thinking. He could have wrote me a ticket. He could have done all kinds of things. Nowadays, I don't know what they would do to you. Please don't do this. Please don't even try to do this. I'm saying this is how foolish I was. I'm trying to be accepted. I'm trying to be cool. I wasn't cool. I was an idiot. Okay? I was an idiot. I was. I'm not saying you are. I was. He let me go. He told me that he was so excited he knew I was going too fast. Way fast. He said you were at least doing triple, he said you were at least going triple the speed that was there. It was 25. He knew that I was at least doing 75. Because remember I said it was 35, then it dropped down to 25. And he said that he got out of the excitement, that he actually picked up that gun and he dropped it. He dropped it 2 or 3 times, trying to clock me. That's how fast I was going. And I'll tell you what, I slowed down after that in Tim. I realized that was pretty idiotic. So please don't do it. I recommend against it. I'm sharing with you how desperate I was to be accepted and to be cool amongst the people in my city, because I went through a whole life of pretty much being an outcast and being rejected. I had fun during those times, there's no doubt about it, I had fun, but I would never want to go back in time and redo that. That was dangerous. I could have hurt people, you know. Really bad, really bad. I could have took lives of people, myself, my cousin. This is the way we were, you know, at least myself, and other people done it too. I wasn't the only one. I was not, listen to me. I was not the only one. People with muscle cars back in the days, we raced. We raced in town. You didn't think of her dad, and people knew they were on a racetrack. People who walked by at nighttime, they knew we're on a racetrack. We better look and double look and double look and run across the street. Run across the street, because guess what? There's gonna be a race. People are gonna be racing down here. Might be a motorcycle. You know, you would hear of that sometimes. High-speed chases that just, they had to come down. They had to crack down. It's time to end it. And I'm glad, because people get hurt seriously. And they gave us more than enough respect, because even in that situation, you know, he scolded me, but he did not disrespect me. Figure that out. I mean, this is something that I would assume nowadays guys would really be furious. He was upset. But he also saw a little bit of the sense of humor in it, over the fact that he's trying to get his gun, because he's kind of laughing about it. He's tried to get his gun several times. These cops, they loved our cars. They liked working night shift. They loved the excitement, and you know, a lot of times they let you go. Sometimes, depending on what it was, if they figured you were crossing the line, it's time that you learn your lesson. For instance, I disgraced that officer when I was burning rubber. He knew that I saw him there. What was I trying to prove? I was trying to be cool. And I'm sorry. If you know who you are, if you remember that day, I'm sorry. And you know I am. And same with the other officers. You know, I'm sorry that happened. I hope you believe that. That I do apologize for, to the whole city. I should have never been driving like that. But I will say this, I won't beat myself up, because we all were doing it. All the generations were doing it. Everybody who had a muscle car was doing it. Everybody wanted a muscle car to do it. You know, I don't think that goes on anymore there. And it's for the better. Take it to the racetrack. That's what they used to say. Take it to the racetrack. In fact, he said it to me that day. If you want to run it, take it to the racetrack. You know, there's a place to go, Maple Grove, where we go on Sundays. I couldn't afford it. I couldn't afford to drive there. I couldn't afford to run it down the track. Weekend.